This video will show you how you can use Photoshop selection tools to grab a piece of one photo and add it to another. In your Google Classroom, I do have some backgrounds here, but the idea is that we're going to have different backgrounds and you are going to add at least 3 different additions to your backgrounds. So first we need to save like we did last time. We're going to click on one of those images. When you click on the image, you get the larger version here, and then you do a right click, and you can do Save Image As. We're going to send it to our Downloads folder. You can change the name if you'd like, but I'm okay with this, and we'll click Save. You can see it's in my Downloads folder right up here, and I can go into my Photoshop. I can go into Open, and now if I go to my Downloads, again I've got that image I just saved. Now I want to open up another image. So now I'm going to go to Google Images. So I'm going to go back to Google Chrome. I'm going to open up a new tab. I'm going to Images. And I'm going to look for a ship that I can put in the harbor. And again, I can look for lots of different images. But one thing I want to say is that if I click on an image, it might be large or it might be small. We get to see the number of pixels. If either one of these legs is less than, say, 300 pixels, it's going to be a really small image, and you're going to want to look for something bigger. I do want to show you a cool tool here. If I'm, again, in Google Images and I look under Tools, if I look under Tools, I can click under Size, and now I can search for large file size images that are ships. It's not foolproof, but it definitely helps to get larger images for what you need. So if I want to take a picture or take a part of this, I can click on it again. I'm going to check and see. Oh, this is a plenty large, so I'm going to do a right click, Save Image As. I do want to change the name of this file because it's just that big nonsensical thing. I'm going to name it Ship. And I'm going to make sure that I send it to my downloads. I will point out here, this picture is a JPEG. Both JPEG and PNG files work the best with Photoshop. There are a couple of file formats that don't work at all, like the AVIX does not work. But if you see it ending in a G, then that file format should work. I click Save. Again, now my ship is in my downloads. I can go to Photoshop. I'm going to go to File and Open again. I'm going to open the ship. And now I've got the picture of this ship on this tab, and I've got the picture of New York Harbor over here, and I can flip back and forth between those. Now I'm going to use my selection tools. So the best selection tool down here is the quick selection tool, but I will show you the lasso tool just so you understand. If you use the lasso tool, you can just click and drag around something, and it's just a freehand selection that you make. I can click Control C and I can copy that. If I take it over, I'm going to do Control V, and it's going to bring in all of that water and everything too. So I'm going to do Control Z to undo that, and I'm going to go back and show you how you can get a really good selection. I can click Deselect here or Control D to deselect, and now I'm going to use the Quick Selection tool. Now this brush is going to paint the inside of whatever I'm trying to select, and Photoshop is actually using some pretty powerful artificial intelligence to look for the edges. So I'm just painting the inside here, and now I've got another cool tool that I can use. If I just click the Q button on my keyboard, just the Q, there's not a control or anything, I just click Q, and it'll show me what's selected with red on the outside. So I can see that this is a pretty good selection, but I'm missing a little bit of the boat right over here. So I can click Q to go off of that, and now I'm going to add a little bit more. If I want to zoom in, and you'll often need to zoom in, you can click on the magnifying glass here. If you click once, it'll zoom in. If you hold down the Alt key, the ALT key on your keyboard, now I can zoom back out when I click. And I can see, to get a really good selection up here, I'm going to go back to my selection tool. I'm going to add a little bit of this. But I also need to take away a little of that. So I can again use that Alt key, and you can see it moves from a plus right there to a minus when I hold the Alt key. Make my brush a little smaller, and now when I'm holding Alt, I can take away from the selection. And Photoshop is actually pretty smart. You might have to go back and forth adding and subtracting a little bit, but that's helping it figure out what you really want and what you don't want. Again, you always have that option to click on Q to see what's selected and what's not. Q to take it away. Control C copies it. Go back over. Control V pastes it. Now I want to use Control T. T for transform. When I do Control T for transform, now I've got that box where I can resize. I can move it around. If I go off the box, I can rotate it. If I do a right click on an image, I can flip it. And that should give you a good start in making some awesome selections for your backgrounds. Don't forget to save. It is File, Save As, and save it. I'm going to save mine to my desktop. It's asking me, are you sure you want to save this big file? It's a big file, and that's okay. You can just click OK. Again, have a great time making your selections.